I think my spirit animal might be a lizard. Because I'll sit out in the sun all day.
I used to go to a Sundance. I don't know if you know what a Sundance is.
Well, I've heard of them, but I don't know what it is.
But we dance in the sun for 4 days, no food, no water.
Wow.
Temperature can be anywhere from 120, 125 when we dance. And it's learning how to control your mind and your body and your spirit to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And, it must raise holy hell with the kidneys, the liver, all that, because you're not drinking water.
No, exactly. Yeah.
But we're in the spirit world, so it doesn't affect us the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it tests my mind.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
It's when I first went in, I called my dad and I talked to him. I told him, well, I'm going into the Sundance. And he told me, son, I'm glad you called. I wanted to talk to you. He told me, I want you to remember you represent our people. So you do the best you can. That's all I ask. It was like putting a ton of bricks on my shoulders. I thought I was doing this for me.
Right.
But he said, no, you're doing this for our people. Remember that.
So were there other folks from different nations that would join the Sundance?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And, the first day I ran out of spit about 11 o'clock in the morning, nothing in my mouth. And the second day, the third day I seen my teacher, I told him I quit. I don't care if I disgrace myself, my people, whoever I disgrace, I don't care. Give me water.
Yeah.
I want water.
Yeah.
He said, nope, I'm not giving you water. You go back in there and you finish. I told him, I don't care. I said, I quit. He said, no, you're going back in, you finish. Oh my God, I got another day and a half.
And so then when you finish, which I presume you did.
Yes.
And you have that accomplishment, like what is that designed to teach?
Well, when I went back in my mind, I said, once I finish this Sundance, I'm going home. No more culture for me. This is it. I had it.
Get my air conditioning
yes,
and my
yes.
bottle of water. And
yes. And then when the ladies, they brought the water into our circle there, and they were giving out water, and I was sitting there and I was watching. I said, I bet I'm going to be the very last person to get water. And sure enough, I was the last one to get water. But first they gave us a piece of lemon and we put it in our mouth. We sucked on it and then we spit that out. Then we gave us a little bit of water. It slosh around your mouth and spit it out. And then have it sips, small sips. When I had a few sips, I was sitting there. I said, wow, I made it. I did it. Mm-hmm. I can't wait till next year. But I said, no, you said you were going home, no more culture. What are you saying? Can't wait till next year.
Short-term memory loss.
Yes. But I did it.
Yeah.
And so I've done that for 8 years.
Wow. Good for you.
Yes.
I hope you were recording. Welcome to another episode of the Wealthy Podcast. I'm your host, Shauna Nyros, and today's episode is probably one of my most favorites. Today we welcome Elder Leon Louis. He is an elder from the Okanagan Nation and a knowledge keeper and one of the most prolific storytellers I've ever had the experience of interviewing. He shares with us just a small part of what makes the Indigenous teachings so profoundly important for all of us to understand when it comes to conversations about health and healing, our relationship to nature and the land and animals, and our relationship to each other. You're going to want to listen up. I am so happy and honored to welcome our guest today, Elder Leon Louis. Elder Leon is a respected knowledge keeper from the Syilx Okanagan Nation, and he brings deep wisdom from both his cultural teachings and his many years working in healthcare and mental health, including contributing to Indigenous-led models of healing in our communities. It is a privilege to have you, Elder Leon. And I'm going to begin today with a land acknowledgement. It's not something we typically do on the podcast, but it seems even more appropriate today, I think, because of the conversation that we're about to have. So in light of that, and in light of our commitment to truth and reconciliation, we begin by acknowledging that the KGH Foundation and Kelowna General Hospital stand on the unceded, ancestral, and continually cared for territory of the Okanagan Syilx people. In health and healing conversations, land acknowledgements remind us that well-being is rooted not only in medicine, but in relationship to the land, to each other, and to stories. So today's conversation is about honoring different ways of knowing and of learning through story, honoring Indigenous teachings, and exploring how they can guide how we think about health as individuals, as communities, and as one. So, Elder Leon, welcome to the Wealthy Podcast. It's so nice to have you. Now that I've given the formal introduction, I would love it if you would introduce yourself and give us a little bit of your story on how you've come to be the man sitting here today.
Well, I'd like to say thank you very much. I'm very honored to be asked to come to do this. What I do in my work is try to bridge that gap between our people and society, because there's very little known about us. And what is written usually is written by a non-native, which they don't really understand us. So it's important to come from the horse's mouth. And so that's why I'm so glad to be here to educate the rest of the world even.
Yes. And thank you. We're grateful for that.
Yes. But anyways, I'd just like to say, why has this quiz CEWEL'NA? I'm acknowledging the Great Spirit. I'm saying who I am, which is CEWEL'NA. CEWEL'NA was my great-great-grandfather's name that was given to me by my great aunt. When I started my spiritual journey, my teacher told me, I want you to go home and find out who you are. I told him, I know who I am. I'm Leon. He said, no, you're not. Now go home and find out who you are. So I had to come home and find out who I am. And my great aunt gave me my name, CEWEL'NA, which she said, this is your great-great-grandfather's name that's been passed down for thousands of generations. Thousands of generations. I said, oh my God, really? And she said, yes, that's who you are. And so all my traditional people, they don't call me Leon, they call me CEWEL'NA. And whenever I gather our foods, our medicines, or I pray, I always have to tell the Creator who is praying, who is gathering our foods, our medicines. Very important, that name.
Mm-hmm. Lovely.
But anyways, my English name is Leon Louis. I'm from the Syilx. And my dad is Leonard Louis from the Syilx. My mother is Eleanor Moses from Shaluce. She's Thompson and Merritt. And I've grown up here where I live all my life. And I'm very honored to where I'm so lucky to live where I live, because I have a creek that goes by my house, and then I have a waterfalls up above my house. So when I go to bed at night, I listen to the waterfalls all night long. Oh, it sounds so beautiful, so calming. I'm so lucky, so lucky.
You have had your own, you and I have spoken on the phone. We did a little call before we decided to go ahead with this, and you shared that you've had your own journey to get to this place over the years of finding yourself and reconnecting back to who you are. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Sure, I'd love to. You know, my dad took me across the border from where I live now, about 4 miles, but in Washington State, and I went to school down there. I graduated in 1971. And when I graduated, my dad told me, "You know why I brought you here?" And I said, "No, I don't, Dad." He said, "I brought you down here to keep you out of residential school." Because when I was growing up, he used to tell me what he went through in residential school, which is horrific. And, you know, when I was born, my dad told my grandfather and grandmother, "I don't want you to teach my son the language. We're civilized Indians now. I don't want you to teach the language to him. Speak English to him." And the reason why is because he was brainwashed when he went to school that our culture worshiped the devil and our language worshiped the devil. And so that's, I don't blame my dad for telling my grandfather and grandmother not to teach me because of what he went through. And my mother, the same thing. But, anyways, I graduated in 1971 and I moved back to Canada and I went to school at Syilx College in Castlegar. And, um, you know, all the way through high school, I never drank, never did drugs. When I went to Syilx College, um, I failed classes, but partying, I got A's in. So I enjoyed my life for quite a while.
Mm.
And finally, I went to school and I got to become an accountant. And used to wear a suit and tie to work. And I still was wild and crazy until I was 35. And then something in my mind clicked and said, it's time to change. And so I survived my year of sobriety. And I met this man from Yakima, Washington. And he invited me to his dance, his winter dance. And when it came time to go, everybody that knew where he lived left, so I didn't make it. So 2 weeks later, he comes to see me and he told me, "Leon, I thought I invited you to my dance." And I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, come you didn't come." I told him, "I didn't know how to find your place. Everybody that knew where you lived left." And he said, "Oh, that's a good excuse." He told me, "Next time I invite you, are you going to come? No excuse." I said, "Oh, yeah, yeah. I thought next year." And he said, "Okay, go home and get some clothes and a towel, and we're going right now." And that's what, right now? And I had no idea what I was getting into. No idea. And so I got my clothes. I went with him. I got in his van and we went down to the bottom part of Washington State. This is where my adopted grandmothers, I adopted them later, but there was their dance. And at this dance, when they sing songs, these songs come from an animal, come from the wind, come from the water. And sometimes they'll tell you, this is where my song comes from. And it's a healing song. And so we jump dance, we jump up and down all night long. And I was jump dancing, and the songs were so beautiful. It touched my heart, made me cry. I was pouring sweat. I was glad I was pouring sweat so they couldn't see me crying. But, anyways, I said in my mind, this is what I've been looking for all my life. I found it because it made me feel so good from the inside out. And so I quit my job and I devoted my life to learn more about my culture. And that was in 1988. And that's all I've been doing ever since is learning and experiencing my culture. And our culture is so beautiful. I just love to learn. I always tell the kids when I talk to them that I never got my knowledge from a book. I never got it from the internet. I got it from hands-on experience. I traveled all across Canada, all across United States to learn. And it was a beautiful experience. And my teacher, when I finished my first year, I was coming home. I thought I failed. I didn't think I found a teacher. And when I was getting ready to go out the door, he told me, CEWEL'NA, he said, you've passed Medicine Man 101. I said, oh, and just how did I do that? He said, well, you sweat every day, you gather the foods, the medicines, you go to all these ceremonies. That's why I say that. I said, oh, wow. I didn't realize I was actually learning for a whole year and didn't know it. And he told me, I suppose you think you know it all now. I told him, well, it sounds like it. He said, I'll tell you what, you don't. He said, you give me 5 years of your life. And at the end of that 5 years, you can say you've learned something. So I came home, I worked for a month, and I thought about it, and I said, yes, I'm going to go home and I'm going to give him 5 years of my life. I never had a wife, I never had children, so I had that opportunity to do that. And so I moved down there and I stayed with him for 5 years. And my teacher is known worldwide. He's been to Oxford University, Yale, to share his knowledge. And so I was very lucky to find him, very lucky. And when I'm spending time with him, it's like he opens up the top of my head and he's just pouring the knowledge into my head from the time I see him until I leave him. And I just love that man.
And you have dedicated much of your time to translating that knowledge into sort of practical work in healthcare, helping our communities here in the Okanagan understand how we can better integrate indigenous ways. And we're going to get into some of those, but I think it's worthwhile to just share a little bit about some of the stuff that you've been doing with all of this work that you've done to build up your knowledge and your expertise to be able to be that bridge between those traditional teachings and traditional ways and like what we're doing right now or what we're not doing right now when it comes to health care.
Yes. Well, before contact, we could drink water out of any lake, any river, any creek. And all the foods we ate, our roots, our berries, our salmon, our deer, our elk, our moose, our medicines, everything grew natural here. We didn't have to plant them. We didn't have to water them. All we had to do is go gather them. And it's always ceremony when we do these things. We're always giving thanks before we take our food. We always give thanks before we take our medicines. And that's very important, that ceremony. Communicating with the land, always telling the land what I'm going to do when I take that food, thanking it for feeding our people. And, all we ate was medicine. All the water was medicine. My elders told me that before contact, our people used to live to be 140, 160 because everything was medicine. We had to work hard for our foods, and we had to work together as a family. We had to work together as a community. We had to learn how to work together as a nation, together in order to survive. My people, my elders said there used to be 3-4 million of us. There used to be. And when contact happened, when they came, they brought diseases we weren't used to. And then there was a time they gave us smallpox blankets that wiped out 90% of us. So now we're down to a few thousand of us right now. And, we, like I said, we didn't have to till the soil. So when the immigrants first came here, they thought we were lazy because we weren't making crops. But we didn't have to because everything grew naturally here. And right now, nowadays, it's getting harder and harder for us to gather our foods. There's so many signs, no trespassing. Then they spray. And so it's very dangerous for us to gather our foods, our medicines, because of that. So I always have to be careful when I go out in the land and gather our foods and our medicines to make sure I don't hurt my people when I do that.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're lucky. Some of our people are very lucky to eat our traditional foods once a week, which we ate all the time. And that's what causes the diabetes, some of the sicknesses that we have today. And so there was a time our ceremonies were outlawed for 70, 80, 100 years, and which was very hard on our people. The Catholic religion came in. The other thing is we're very spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
We believe everything has a spirit. Everything, even this table has a spirit and must be treated with respect. The rocks, everything has a spirit, and we treat them with respect. And so when we do ceremony, that's why we're always thanking it for sharing those things with us to keep us healthy. And, when I first started my spiritual journey, I was at a funeral and I was just leaving, and this man was behind me, and he said, "CEWEL'NA, I've been looking up and down the Okanagan Nation to share my knowledge with about medicines. Would you like to learn?" I told him, "Oh, I didn't know we had medicines." And he laughs at me. He said, "Well, how do you expect us to think we've survived all these thousands of years?" I told him I never thought about it. He says, "Well, I'd like to teach you our medicines." And I said, "Oh, I'd just love to learn that." So he took me out in the land and taught me about our medicines. And, before I used to go down the road and be bored. I've seen this all the time. Now when I go down the road, I'm always looking for medicines, the elevation, the time of the year. So I'm always looking to observe. So when I need the medicines, I know where to get it. But that's a little bit about what I do. And I do many, many things. I'm retired now, and I'm more busier than when I was working.
Yeah, and you're doing great work in our communities. So grateful for, again, your ability to sort of translate these teachings into a way that I think is really important for other systems, other people, other communities that really truly want to, if we're in health and healthcare, then it's up to us to stay curious about how we can be better and do better as stewards for the health of our communities, right? So, and your work has been really inspiring. I want to ask you, because I think it's really important to start at the beginning. And you shared with me when we first talked, you've referenced how important the land is and the relationships with the critters and the creatures and the animals, and food and plants to this conversation. So you shared the creation story with me when we first talked about Black Bear, Skimheath, I think is what you called him, and Fly. And I just really would love it if you could share that story.
Since there's some snow in the mountains now, yes, I can do that.
Okay.
It's our coyote stories. Our coyote stories are like our Bible. And what coyotes, the Creator gave coyote the job of preparing the world for the human beings. On this earth, there was only plants and animals. And so Coyote, who went around and he tamed some of the animals, some of them were giants. Some of them were very harmful to the humans. And he transformed them. Some of them that were giants, he shrunk down to the size they are today. And sometimes when I watch the Discovery Channel or the History Channel, they talk about evolution. And I said, oh, they're just catching up to our stories now. Just now catching up that we've already known. Just like when Columbus came across the ocean, he was looking for India. They told him, oh, you're going to fall off the edge of the world. We knew even before that everything it went in a circle. The earth was round. The sun was round. We went around the sun. We knew so many things that the immigrants didn't take time to listen about our knowledge. But anyways, how I'd like to start this is that Kisepi, long, long time ago, and this earth, there was only plants and animals. There's no human beings. Kulenchuten, the great spirit, he called all the plants and animals, and they all sat around. He told all the plants and animals, I want to make human beings. I want you to tell me what I'm going to make those human beings out of. I'm going to leave and I'll let you talk. So Kulenchuten, he left, and all the plants and animals, they sat around and they talked and they talked. Pretty soon, here comes Kulenchuten. He comes back and he says, okay, I've given you enough time. Now tell me, what am I going to make human beings out of? And all the plants and animals, they looked at each other. Pretty soon they looked, Skimheast, Black Bear, you're the wise one. You make that decision as what the human beings are going to be made out of. Skimheast, he gets up and he walks around and he's thinking and he's thinking. He said, you know what? All I have to offer is a piece of myself. He took a piece of himself and he tore that off. It's called in our language a tearing. He tore a piece of himself off. He gave that to the Creator to make the human beings. The next was Speetlum. Speetlum, she tore a piece of her off. He said, all of you, I want you to tell me, what are you going to offer to make the human beings? And that's when Speetlum tore a piece of herself off.
And what is Speeklum?
Speeklum is the bitter root that goes underneath the ground.
Okay.
And next was the Seaberry, the Saskatoons. She tore a piece of herself off and gave that to the Creator to make the human beings. And the next was the salmon in Tia. She tore a piece of herself off and gave that to the Creator to make us. What was that they gave to the Creator to make us? What was that? What do you think? Starts with a D.
Like, do I want to say DNA?
Yes.
That's what I was thinking.
Give that lady a prize.
Yeah.
It's DNA. So that makes them our parents. They feed us, they clothe us, they give us everything. That's who they are. That's our connection to the land. Very important. Our people must always understand our connection to the land. And so the Creator, he says, okay, when I make these human beings, they're going to be very pitiful people. They're not going to have hair to keep warm. They're not going to know how to survive on this land. I want you to decide how they're going to survive here on this land. I'm going to leave. I'm going to make the human beings. I'm going to give you a chance to talk. When I come back, I want you to tell me how they're going to survive. And so he left, and all the plants and animals, again, they talked and they talked. Pretty soon, here comes Kulenchuten, the Great Spirit, back. He said, okay, now tell me how they're going to survive here. And plants and animals, again, they said, Skimheast, you're the wise one. You make that decision. So Skimheast, the black bear, he walks around. He says, you know what? All I have to offer the human beings is my flesh. I'm going to lay down on the ground here and I'm going to die, and I want all you plants and animals to feed off my flesh. After you finish feeding off my flesh, I want you to sing my song. You'll bring me back to life. So Skimheast, he laid down on the ground and he died, and all the plants and animals, they fed off his flesh. After they finished feeding off his flesh, they sang his song, and he didn't come back to life. He was still laying on the ground, still nothing but bones and hair. And so they all gathered up with bones and hair, and they all took turns singing their song. Everything has a song. We just don't listen. It's like when the wind's going by, it's singing. When the creek is going by, it's singing. All the plants, animals, it's like you get up in the morning, you hear the birds singing. Everything has a song. But anyways, they all took turns singing their song, trying to bring Black Bear back to life. And pretty soon here was this fly. This fly was flying around. He was saying, let me sing, let me sing. All the plants and animals that were swatting him, fly, leave us alone. We're trying to bring Black Bear back to life. Now leave us alone. And fly kept flying around. Pretty soon all the plants and animals, they finished singing their song. And still Skim Heast was laying on the ground, nothing but bones and hair. And they said, okay, fly, you're the last chance. You sing your song. You bring them back to life. So fly, he flew down there and he landed on the bones and the hair, and he was just dancing and he was singing his song. He sang his song and he brought Black Bear back to life. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? That even the smallest things are important. Mm-hmm. They all have their purpose. Because if it wasn't for fly, you'd see dead things on the road or wherever, and it would make us sick because they would just stay there. So fly's job is to go there and prepare it and take it away so that we don't get sick around it. It's not just laying there.
Mm-hmm. And like to a certain degree, to bring the spirit of that, your stories are so beautiful, to bring the spirit of that animal back into existence, with the flies, because they make a little noise too. They're
yes.
Like we think it's annoying, especially when it's in the bathroom and bonking against the light, right? But maybe that's part of like its purpose is the song of the fly. Mm-hmm. Not only is it sort of cleaning up and keeping, things clean, but raising that spirit back up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, just like I told you about when I first went to that winter dance nest, there were singers were singing those animal songs, those plant songs. And that's where they came from. They gave those songs to some of our people to sing, to bring healing to us. It's like each song is like a doctor. You have different doctors that are specialized in certain things. Mm-hmm. And that's the same with those songs. They're specialized in healing different parts of us. Mm-hmm. That's how important those songs are.
Well, and even just like, if I think about my own experience with, well, two things. First, nature. I love what you're saying about how there's this language or these songs that are ever present in nature, but we're just not really listening, which is really so true. And over the past several years, I've been spending more time in nature, hiking and doing the things. And I understand what you're saying, because sometimes it's just so noisy that you have to get away. And you and I kind of talked about this when we first talked, like go to the top of the mountain, and then all of a sudden you can hear all of these things. And it provides not only like I'm curious about that, but also some clarity about hearing the things that are within you that you may not be listening to as well. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's kind of like this catalyst of listening and in a different way. Mm-hmm. Right? And we're so busy in our lives today. There's so many distractions, so much to look at, so much to listen to, that it's hard to get that clarity.
Yes.
And that's why the relationship with nature is so healthy and it is so healing, because and there's many other reasons why it is healthy and healing, but just on that very basic level of being able to kind of like reconnect to like the bigger the bigger song in order to hear your own.
Yes.
Right? And then the second, oh gosh, I have so many things. Second thing, when you were sharing that story that came to mind about song is like, I was talking about this with a friend. For some of us, music is extremely like moving, right? Like you talk
Yes.
about the dancing and with the drums and the ritual and jumping, like, you know, the sort of energy movement, how that has a profound impact on people, probably on a very individual basis, right?
Yes.
But I've often thought about that. Like, why is it when you hear like some songs that you just like, sometimes the hair on your arm stands up?
Yes.
Like, that's to me, like, if we're just a collection of cells and tissues, why does that happen? Right?
Yes.
There's something in the harmony, in the music.
Yes. It touches your heart.
Yes. And in that way, there's an energy, there's a movement, there's a power in it, right? That I don't think as Westerners we really get. Like, we don't really understand that yet. But I do think we feel it.
Yes.
Right? And then the third little awareness I had, I was actually just listening to another podcast. It was with an astrophysicist, okay? And he was saying that we share, I'm going to mess this up, we share 20% DNA with a banana, humans. So to your point about this, like, for real, like now science has sort of caught up. Like you said, we're starting to get it, right? Science has caught up to the teachings.
Yes.
It's not just a story. It's actually true.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We are bear and Saskatoon berry.
Yes.
And yeah.
Have you ever seen a black bear skinned?
No.
It looks like a human.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It looks just like a human being when you skin it.
And when you talk, like, when you say things like that, I haven't seen one, but I believe you. It makes me think differently about the bear that's like in my neighborhood eating my garbage. Right? And that's a very crude example, but I do think that that's part of what we're seeking in terms of this, like the whole reconciliation conversation is this idea that like we are bear.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that part of the reason that we're so sick as individuals and as communities is that we haven't caught up to that yet.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that story.
And to finish the rest of the story.
Yes.
Skim Heast gave of himself to feed us. The next he turned. Speaklam, what do you offer the human beings? Speaklam, chief of all the foods that grow underneath the ground, the onions, the potatoes, the carrots, the camas. She said, I'll offer that to the human beings to nourish their bodies. But all I ask is you take my life with respect and honor me. That's all I ask. And the next, she turned, Saskatoon, what do you offer the humans? Saskatoon, she said, I'll offer all the foods that grow above the ground to the human beings to nourish their body. All the berries, everything that grows above the ground. I offer that to the human beings to nourish their body. But all I ask is you take my life with respect and honor me. That's all I ask. Next was in Tia the salmon, chief of all the foods that grow in the water. She said, I'll offer all these foods in the water to the human beings to nourish their body. But all I ask is you take my life with respect and honor me. And next was the big buck. The big buck stood up and said, you know what? Skim Heast, he was the first one to offer himself to make the human beings. He was the first one to offer his flesh to nourish the human beings. We will not hunt or kill that black bear. He's very sacred. I'm going to stand in his place. I'm going to offer my flesh to the human beings to nourish their body. I'm going to offer my bones and my horns for them to make their tools. I'm going to offer my hide to the human beings to make their moccasins, their clothes, their drums. But all I ask is you take my life with respect and honor me. And the story just goes on and on and on. Next was all our medicines. They stood up. The buckbrush stood up and said, I'll offer to make tea. They make tea out of my body. They drink it. That will clean their blood, their liver, their kidneys, and their pancreas. That'll help keep them healthy. The tamarack that offered, I'll offer my body to the human beings. You make tea out of me, and I'll keep your bones strong, your teeth, your enamel strong. That's what I offer to the human beings. And the medicines just go on and on. They all told us what they offer us. Just like when my teacher taught me the medicines, I told him, did we look at this plant and say, well, let's try it and see what it does? And he laughs at me. He says, no. They all told us what they offer us in that story. Mm-hmm. That's how we know the medicines. They are a part of us. And that's why they offer to help keep us healthy. Very important. Mm. And so when they said, take my life with respect and honor me, what does that mean? Because in our culture, they don't give us the whole answer. Sometimes we have to figure the rest of the story out ourselves. Mm-hmm. But anyways, when I had to sit down and think about, what does that mean? Take my life with respect and honor me. And it's the sweat lodge. Very important part, sweat lodge is. Mm-hmm. We clean ourselves before we go dig the speedland, before we go pick the berries, before we go hunt, before we go fish. It's very important to clean ourselves from the inside out before we go do that. Mm. You know, just like my teacher Herman, he told me, if you don't clean yourself before you go hunt, that deer's going to smell you, because they can smell anything. Their smell is very good. He said, if you go hunt and you don't clean yourself, that deer's going to say, oh my God, here comes a human being. They stink. Let's get out of here. Mm-hmm. But when you clean yourself from the inside out and you go and you hunt, that deer's going to smell you. It's going to say, that human smells good. I'm going to offer my life. I'm going to offer my life. That's how important that is, just to know that part.
Can you share, you mentioned the sweat lodge and the relationship between cleansing and all of the other things. I think there's a lot of curiosity about the sweat lodge, and it's certainly one of those iconic cultural stories, or, you know, when we think about Indigenous cultures, we think about sweat lodge. Mm-hmm. But you've explained this to me both in the context of the story that you just shared, but there's more to that. Mm-hmm. Maybe can you unpack a little bit about what is the sweat lodge? What is it designed to help enable for people? Mm-hmm. And also the importance of that ritual and the ceremony around the sweat lodge. Mm-hmm. And sweating. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's a really important part of the conversation.
Yes. You know, the sweat lodge, it kind of has a hump. And that hump...
Like it's like a round dome?
Yes.
Yeah.
What it represents is the womb of Mother Earth. So it has that hump like that. And so we make it look like that. We cover it, and um,
Like you cover the top of it.
yeah, we cover the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so we usually use red willow or fir to make the ribs, and then we cover the ribs with. We used to use hides a long time ago, boughs we cover it with. And then the floor, the inside of the sweat lodge, we use fir boughs and we cover the floor with those fir boughs because that ground is very sacred and we don't want to sit on that. We want to sit on those fir boughs. And those fir boughs, they have needles. And when we go into the sweat lodge, we go in there like the day we're born. And so when we go in there and we sit on those fir boughs, those needles are poking us and not hurting us, but they're poking us. So what they're doing is releasing the toxins in our body when we go into the sickness in our body.
Similar to like the acupuncture you said. Yeah.
Yes. And then, we also have rocks, lava rocks. And those lava rocks we call the grandfathers because those lava rocks have been here since the beginning of time. They've seen many things. They've heard many things. They've seen many, many people when they walk by or just looking at them. But anyways, those grandfathers, we heat them up. We gather wood and we burn when we make those sweat rocks just cherry red hot. And then while we're heating up the rocks, we have a barrel, a small barrel right by the fire, and we put rose bush in there, juniper in there, mullein in there, and we're heating that up while we're heating the rocks up. And so when it's time to go into the sweat lodge, we put those red hot rocks in there. We put it on the left side of the sweat lodge, and the left side. What does that represent?
The heart.
Here?
Yeah.
The heart.
Yeah.
The female side, and so that's where we put that pit, the rocks in. And so we put the rocks in there, and after we put the rocks in there, then I get a bucket and I dip that into that medicine water. And then we go in and I get a fir bough and I dip that in there and I sprinkle that on the sweat rocks. And when I sprinkle that medicine on the sweat rocks, that steam that comes off those rocks, we call the breath of the grandfathers.
Right, because the rocks are the grandfathers.
Yes, and so the steam is the breath of the grandfathers. They're the ones that are cleaning us from the inside out. Just like when you have a shower or you have a bath, all you're washing is this part.
Mm-hmm.
But when we go into the sweat lodge, we're cleaning ourselves from the inside out. That's what all those foods and medicine said. Take my life with respect and honor me. And so when you clean yourself and you take that life, you're taking it with respect because you are clean.
Mm-hmm.
Very important.
Mm-hmm.
Very important part of that. And so when we're in there, we do 4 rounds. And we come out each round and we get in the water. Because we're just pouring all that toxins and everything is coming out of our body. And it's just dripping off of us. I go to the water and I talk to the water, ask the water to wash away all those hurts and pains and toxins that come out of my body. I ask you to fill that empty space with good thoughts, good prayers. That's what I ask the water. And then I get into the water and let that water take all that away from me. And then I get out and I go sit down for a little while. And after I get out of the water, steam is just coming off of me. Oh, I feel so good.
Mm-hmm.
So good. And then we go in for the second round. The second round, that's when it's just all that sweat is just oozing out of us. And then we rub our skin. And when we rub our skin, we're rubbing off all that dead skin. All it just peels off of us. We rub everywhere, get all that dead skin off of us. And so when we go back out and we get in the water, all that water washes away all that dead skin. And that's when your body begins to breathe. It says, oh my God, I can breathe. I feel good now. That's how important that sweat lodge is when we do that. And that first round is the thank you round. We thank the fire, the rocks, the water, the medicines, everything that lives there. We say thank you for sharing this place with us so that they understand who we are and why we're there. We say thank you for sharing this place with us. That's important, the sweat lodge. And so when we do that, sometimes, like when I first started with my teacher, I sweat every day. Every day. I told my teacher, why? This is because I want you to get rid of all that anger you have in you. I want you to
take some time.
Yes, get rid of that anger you're carrying. I want you to get rid of the toxins that are in your body. I want you to clear your mind so when I give you the teachings, you'll understand what I'm giving it to you and why I'm giving you these teachings. So we have an order and a purpose for everything we do. We just don't go do things. We have to prepare before we go and do things, gather our foods, our medicines.
And is that what the ceremony or the ritual? So that would be ritual then. Sweat lodge would be just part of the ritual of preparing your body, your mind, your spirit for basically living like a whole life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you feel so much better.
I know. I feel you talk about it. I'm like, oh, I want to do that. Like, it sounds awesome. Although I imagine it's kind of uncomfortable.
No.
Oh,
no. You feel so good.
Like, is it hot? Like hot?
Oh, though? It is hot.
Yeah.
Yes. But the other thing is teaching you is how to breathe. Just like now when we breathe, we're not giving our brain enough oxygen. We breathe very shallow. So, when we're in there, I tell the people, you got to learn how to breathe when you're in here. When you breathe all the way out, very slowly, calmly. Because when that heat hits you, you don't think about the heat. You think about breathing. You listen to why the person that's praying, you listen to them. You don't acknowledge the heat. Because you acknowledge that, oh my God, he's going to say, let me out of here. It's too hot.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So you focus. And after a while, you can keep the heat right here. You can
like
keep
it's there, but it's not there.
Yes. And then, like I say, you're focusing on your prayer also. And then when you're doing that, and then that heat's coming, and then all that toxins coming out of your body. Oh, you feel so good. It's not torture. Some of our people, they'll make it so hot to say, oh, look how tough I am. It's not that. You go in there, you sweat comfortably. It's not torture. You feel good when you get in. You feel good when you get out. It's like when you get in that water and you wash away all that toxins, you feel great. And when you do this all the time, you're not going to get sick because you're so healthy. They're so healthy when you do this, at least once a week.
At least once a week.
At least once a week. And if you can do it twice a week, that's good too.
What if you don't have like a womb in your backyard? What if you, like, I'm listening to you and I'm like, that sounds amazing, but I don't have is a sauna okay?
It's close, not quite.
I know.
You're not sitting on the fur balls.
Maybe if I got like a prickly fur bow, but I love the the idea of, the grandfathers, the rocks, like that's so
Hmm.
important. It's all
Yes.
of it is like you can't actually strip away any piece of it because then like it's not just about the steam,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
It's all of it.
Yes. Just like the medicines that are in there too.
Yeah.
They're a very important part of helping you. Just like the mullein, that mullein that
Yeah.
helps you breathe when you're in there, helps you open up your
Your
lungs
lungs.
so you can breathe in there. Very important. And then the juniper, that's kind of a disinfectant
Mm-hmm.
also.
Mm-hmm.
So everything has its purpose and how we learn how to stay healthy. Just like when we build that sweat lodge, the direction the door faces is very important.
Right.
We just don't face it any which way. It faces east. Why east?
Sunrise?
That's where the sun comes. That's the new beginning.
Oh, I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
That's the new beginning. That's why our door faces east. All our ceremonial buildings, the door faces east because that's the new beginning. Very important. And if you can't face it east, then you face the water. And if you face the water, if it's a creek or a river, you don't face the door upstream. You face the door downstream because you don't want all that energy to stay
Get
in the sweat
stuck.
lodge. Yeah,
Yeah.
you want it to wash it
Flow.
away. Yes.
Wow.
And so that's important also.
I there's so much in um that ritual, and it's interesting. Feel my Western brain like I'm having experience right now, like trying to translate this into
Mm-hmm.
like how can I integrate this into my life right now?
Mm-hmm.
But it's so evident that you can't strip any part of it away because it is so intentional. Like you said, you don't do anything that isn't thought through or
Mm-hmm.
thoughtful.
Yes.
And this is old. Like these teachings are so, I just want to underscore that for our audience. Like, how many hundreds of years has this been passed down?
Thousands.
Thousands. Yeah. Yeah.
Thousands of years.
And we're
And
trying to
it's
catch
all
up.
passed down orally.
Yeah.
Very important orally. I believe more in our oral history than any written history because you can change it
Mm-hmm.
and not in ours. You cannot change it.
Mm-hmm.
The story may be told a little differently, but it's the end part that's always the same.
Mm-hmm. We I might have to have you come back because I wanted to talk to you about the four directions. Maybe we'll start. Maybe can we just quickly talk about that?
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
medicine wheel, because that's something we see now. Again, we're starting to see that in our healthcare settings. The medicine wheel, if our audience is familiar with it. Well, you tell me. What does it look like and what does it represent?
As each nation, they have their own medicine wheel,
Okay.
but it's still very, very similar. The one I'm going to tell you about is the generic one,
Okay.
and the generic one is it's like you draw a wheel, and you kind of make an X in the middle
Mm-hmm.
of it. The East represents the spiritual part of our being. The South represents the mental or the emotional part of our being. The East or the West represents the physical part of our being. The North represents the mental part of our being.
So it's spiritual, emotional, physical, mental.
Yes.
Okay.
And so if you want to make it's just like your tire on your car, you want it to be balanced. If it's not balanced, it's going to go down the road. It's going to be bumpy and it's going to wear out quickly. So when you get up in the morning and you pray, you mark that down. I prayed this morning. I did this spiritually today. What did I do mentally today? Did I read a book or did I read the paper? Or what did I do mentally today? And I mark that down. Then I go down to the emotional part of my being. What did I do today? Was I mad? Was I angry? Was I happy? What was it that I went through today? And I mark that
like
down.
you check in.
And then physically, what did I do today? Did I go for a walk? Did I go for a run? What did I do physically? And so at the end of the day, when I look at my wheel, did I pray? Did I do all these things? If I didn't do enough in one of them, that's when my wheel is off balance. So that therefore makes my body and my spirit off balance. So it's very important to keep that. Make sure you do all those things in your daily life to keep your wheel balanced. And it just keeps going on and on and on. It's like the east represents the spiritual part of our being, and that represents earth. The south represents water. The west represents air. The north represents fire. And the red people sit in the east. We take care of the spiritual part. The south, the yellow people, they take care of the emotional part of our being. The west, the physical part of our being, that's the air. They take care of the air. The north, the white people, they take care of the mental part of our being, which is fire. And so not one can be stronger than the other. They all have to work together in order to keep the wheel in balance. If one overpowers the other more, then your wheel is off balance.
And you're unwell.
And you're unwell, yes. And so when you work together on these things, that's what helps you keep healthy when you do that. And that's just part of the health of your being. It's just like taking care of our medicines. You know, our medicines are a very important part of it also. And when we take our medicines, we don't wait to get sick to use our medicine. We use our medicines to prevent sickness. And even when we gather the medicines, when I go gather the medicines, I talk to the medicine. I tell it who I am and why I want to take you. And then when I do, I give a little offering, because I just don't take it. I give something first, and then I take. That's in respect and honoring when I do that. And so I tell it what I want to, who I am and why I want to take it. And then when I give that offering, I'm not only just taking the physical part of it, I'm taking the spirit of it when I do it the right way. That's very important. My dad always told me, remember, if you just take it, you're just taking the physical part of it. And that's really important. Just like right now, all our medicines you can buy on the internet. But that's a big part that's missing. They just go and they take it.
So it doesn't necessarily work.
No. Yes,
without,
you're right.
Yeah, like
yes.
Without that reciprocity.
Yes, yes. You're making it medicine when you do it properly.
Right.
That's when they said, take my life with respect and honor me. That's important.
You referenced spirit as part of that wheel. And I think that is what a lot of people are struggling with today, maybe, is that we sort of understand physical, emotional, mental, maybe not enough, right? But we understand how, when those are out of balance, it can really impact our overall health and well being. And clearly, we still have things to learn. And I
Yes.
really appreciate you sharing that there's a relationship between everything: the glass of water, the cup of coffee, the sense of gratefulness, you know. Again, circling back to the land acknowledgement, some people question, why do we do these things? Well, it's because it's a rule in truth and reconciliation. No, this conversation helps us understand why.
Hmm.
It's a, before you take, you give,
Yes.
right? And I think the part maybe that we have the most work to do on is that spiritual side of things.
Yes.
Can you talk about how spirituality, I don't even know if it's like a thing you can compartmentalize, but how important is that in all of this?
Just like, they think God is up there.
Right.
God isn't up there. God is right here. He's everywhere. That's his spirit is everywhere. Very important to know that God isn't up there. He's everywhere. He's inside of you. You have a spirit. Just like I was saying, the water has a spirit. Water is one of our most important medicines we have. If we don't have clean water, we're going to get sick. That's why our people will lay their life down to protect that water, because we know if it gets contaminated, it's going to make us sick. When we fight to protect water, we're labeled as terrorists. We're not terrorists. We're protecting that water not only for us, but for everybody. We all deserve to have clean water. Everything. Just like we think about 7 generations yet to come. They deserve to have clean water. They deserve to have clean air. They deserve to have clean food. That's why we want to take care of things, to make sure they have that. 7 generations before us, they thought about me, making sure I have clean water, clean air. And now it's my responsibility to think 7 generations yet to come. Very important. Very important. That's how we think. We just don't think about today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important to remember that.
You've referenced this a number of times, and I think it's worth checking in on this idea of personal responsibility. We're talking about health today,
Yes.
right? You talked about the medicine wheel and how it's an action that you take of personal responsibility to look at that medicine wheel and check in and be like, have I done these things
Mm-hmm.
to support my own health and well-being on an individual level?
Yes.
Right. And then take that to the next level, is that when we're healthy and taking responsibility for ourselves on an individual level, then we have the ability to participate more fully as part of a community that is also one thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
every person is a cell in a bigger organism, if you
Mm-hmm.
will, right? But that cell has a responsibility to be healthy,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And in order to maintain the health of the bigger organism, let's say, the
Yes.
community, there's then we must be personally responsible. And I think maybe that's part of one of the things where we've got it a little bit wrong
Mm-hmm.
in the West, where we get sick and we go to the doctor and we say, "What's wrong with me? Fix me. Give me medicine."
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to say about that?
Well, just like everything I've shared with you is a part of our well-being, how we take care of ourselves. Having that respect. Our culture is based on respect for everything. Everything. And then, just like when we send our kids to school, what they learn is I, 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 I. In our culture, it's we. When one succeeds, we all succeed. When one fails, we all fail. So when we, like I was telling you, we had to survive here as a family. We had to survive here as a community. We had to survive here as a nation in order to survive. We all had to work together as one to survive here, not individually. And that's the biggest problem we have today. It's I. When the kids come home and they talk to their parents, it's always I this, I that. No, it's not. It's we. It's like all our sports. You probably won't believe me. That all the the team sports came from natives. Lacrosse, hockey, basketball, all of them came from us. When the immigrants come here, they seen us and they took it and they changed it a little bit to suit them. But the function actually came from us.
Mm.
Team sports. That's how we survived when we worked together. And that's very important. Just like here, we all have to work together here to make this happen. And when I was up the mountain and I was fasting and I was sitting there and there's all these ants that were bugging me, I said, "Leave me alone. Jesus, I'm here to pray. No, leave me alone." Oh, I was getting mad at the ants. And I said, "Oh, calm down, calm down. Observe them. They're teaching me something." So I sat there and I watched ants all day long, how they all work together to function. One goal, one mind, one thought, one prayer. They all work together. Individually, they all work together. I said, wow, that's amazing. And that's how we must learn how to work together. Take care of this earth, our mother. This earth we call our mother provides us with everything we need, everything. There isn't one thing that's here that didn't come from our mother. That's how precious she is to us. And what do we give back to her? We take and we take and we take and we give very little back to her. Our elders say one day she's going to get mad. She's going to shake. I'm going to teach you guys a lesson. You haven't learned your lesson. Now I'm going to have to teach you harshly. So that's why we must learn how to work together, take care of this earth. She's our mother. We call the moon our sister. The moon controls the oceans. She controls the menstrual cycles of the ladies. That's how important the moon is. We call the sun our brother. The sun gives warmth, helps things grow. That's our brother. The sky is our father. That's where we come from. Every one of us come from way out there to make us. We call that all the way to the furthest part of the universe. That's our father. And this earth is our mother. And we all must learn to work together in order to survive in a respectable way.
I think I know the answer to this, but I think it's a great way for us to close. in the beginning, when I wrote the opening introduction, I said that this conversation was about honoring the Indigenous teachings and exploring how they can guide how we think about health in a different way as individuals and then as communities. And I really had to think about this, but I said, and as one. And I love this conversation so much because it really underscores that we're not different. And I think that that's where there's a lot of misunderstanding between Indigenous communities and, the colonizers or the Western mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you believe truly that we are one?
Yes, we are. We are human beings. That's one. We're not all. We're not from. We're not Martians or anything. We are human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of us that are here, we are. When we started out, when the Creator gave us how to survive here on this earth, the red, the yellow, the black, the white people, we all started on the same starting line. Some went so far and they strayed away. Some went a little further and they strayed away. Some went a little further and they strayed away. Us, it's only been maybe 100 years. And we're trying to bring this back. And it's not easy to bring it back. Not all my people believe in what I've shared with you.
Mm.
But we're slowly getting more and more, especially our young people. They're just hungry for it. They want it because their spirit knows, hey, it's important that I learn how to take care of myself in a better way. And that's what we're struggling now to do, is bring that back.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I was telling you about the medicine wheel, when we go see a doctor, the doctor's only looking at the physical part of our being. They don't think about what trauma I've been through in my life. What emotionally, where am I emotionally? When I go see the doctor's only going to look at my blood pressure and all these different things. But mentally, physically, emotionally, where am I?
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I go see what we call an Indian doctor in our language, in English, they're going to look at us. They see the sickness on us. They don't tell us unless we ask. They can see the sickness on us. And they'll tell us, well, these are some of the things you need to do in order to get rid of that sickness. And when I go see them and I see some people, and they'll come in after a while, I'm still sitting there, and that lady will ask them, you were here last year. When you left here, I told you these are the things you need to do in order to take care of yourself. Did you do it? No. Well, that's why you're back here to see me.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I told you need to go to the water, you need to take this medicine, you need to be able to pray, all these different things in order to take care of yourself. So like going to the water early in the morning, while the morning star is still up, you go there early in the morning and you pray, give thanks for the day. And you get in that water, you'll feel better. So like I said, water's our most important medicine we have. Very important. And it's free.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is go to the water, talk to the water.
Especially where we live.
Yes. And when you do that, oh my God, it's going to make big changes in your life and how you think and what you think when you do this. That's what our culture teaches us. To remember when I go out in the land, to walk in a respectful way when I do that. Because we communicate with everything, even fire. We talk to fire. Because before contact, we used to do we burnt all the time because burning makes new, everything new when we do that. It's like we used to eat black caps. I don't know if you know what black caps are.
No.
They're like raspberries, but they're black. And the only time they grow is after a fire. That's the new beginning. Just like today is 2025, October 16th. That's linear. We see everything in a circle. Spring, summer, fall, winter. And that tells us where we are, what we should or shouldn't be doing in that time. Just like now in end of November, first part of December, we do a ceremony. And what we're doing is we're calling the snow. And we're putting all our roots, our berries, our salmon, our deer, our medicines to sleep. Say, go to sleep. Time to have a rest. And we call the snow. Snow, you come and cover them. Keep them warm all winter long. And all our foods and medicines, everything are having a rest now. And then at end of February, we do what we call a Chinook dance. What we're doing is we're calling the warm winds. And the warm winds come, warm up the land, melt the snow. And we're going to wake up our roots, wake up our berries, all our medicine. Wake up, get up. It's time to get up now. We do a ceremony for that. It's always communication, Very important. That's how we live our life. When we do all those things, everything stays healthy. Everything. The land. And just like when I'm finished with the medicine, I don't throw it in the garbage. I'm disrespecting it. When I'm finished with the medicine, I take it back out in the land. I dig a hole and I give it back to the land. I give it a little bit of tobacco, or I give it a little bit of food or a little bit of water with it. And I cover it up and I say, Lim, thank you for your help. Thank you. It's just like your boss telling you, what's your name?
Allie. My name?
Yes.
Or her name? My name is Shauna.
Shauna.
Yeah.
Your boss tells you, Shauna, you did a good job. Thank you. How does Shauna feel?
Great.
Yes.
Respected.
Yes. So that the land is not only healing us, we are healing the land when we do that. We say, thank you. Thank you for helping me. That's important.
This has been just an awesome conversation. I am so grateful. Thank you. How do you say it? Lim?
Lim, yes.
Lim. Thank you. And there's a gesture that goes with that. Is it like with the hands open? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
When is that done? Like, what does that mean when you sort of do this hand opening thing? Because I see it. We have sometimes elders come and help us to bless big moments that are happening here. What does that mean?
When you're doing this year, you're opening up. You're opening up to let out your prayer.
Okay.
To bring in the Creator, to let Him come into you again. When you're doing that, very important to be able to do that, because we're always like this.
Yeah. You like open your hands, palms up.
Open up. Yeah. Yes.
Arms open.
Just like when you hug. When you hug heart to heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's important to be able to remember doing that. All these little things. There's so many things we can learn to become healthy or stay healthy in our life.
So many things. The little things are the big things. And you've shared so many things. I think that even if we don't have a sweat lodge in our backyard, there are so many things that all of us who have had the privilege of being involved in this conversation, listening to this podcast, can take away. And I think probably for me, it's one of those things where I just want to think about these things for a little bit, and how can I integrate some of these practices into my life, just in small ways, just reverence for the food that we eat, for the land that we live on, not taking for granted the glass of water. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming and driving all the way out here. It was a sunny morning.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Beautiful day.
Yes.
And I think if you'll come, we would love to have you back, because I expect there's far more that we haven't even scratched the surface.
I could go on and on and
I know.
on.
Does it feel like it's been over an hour?
No,
I know. It's been awesome.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Elder Leon. It's been an honor and a privilege to have you here.
Yeah, you're talking about sweat lodge. One day I was going down the road with my dad, and we went by this house, and they had a sweat lodge outside the house.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, my dad got mad. I said, what the heck's the
Yeah.
matter with these people? Don't they
It's all
know
wrong.
you're supposed to build it by the water?
Yeah.
What's the matter with them? They don't know what the heck they're doing. I said, Dad, calm down. Not everybody has access to water. At least they're trying. Be thankful for that. My dad said, oh, you're right, son. I shouldn't be like this, because he knows how it should be done. And when it's not done the right way, I says, we got to adjust. We got to adapt the best way we can. At least they're trying to have it.
And I love that, because I do feel like sometimes these conversations can be awkward, and like people like me don't know what to say because I don't want to say the wrong thing or be offensive in some way. And truly, I think for many people, certainly if you're listening to this episode, there's this desire to want to try. Right?
Yes.
To just try. And
even just going to the water.
Yeah. Okay.
Even just going to the water.
It's getting cold.
You don't have to get in, but
Okay.
At least if you can wash your face, put some in your hair, and you talk to the water. I always tell people, when you talk to the water, you tell it what you want. You never say, I don't want this, I don't want that to happen, because that's what's going to happen.
Right.
You say, this is what I want to happen. You think good, positive way when you ask, when you do that. That's very important, to learn how to pray also. Very important. When we go to ceremonies, we all have the same thought, same prayer, all the same.
Yeah.
In one room. We're not separate, we're one. We're one mind, one thought, one prayer. That's important when we do that.
Well, thank you, Elder Leon. We'll leave it there. That's a perfect last word.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey, lim to you too. It makes me so happy to be able to share this. Not all my people are so open as I am. They're very protective of our culture because it gets so abused.
Yeah.
So abused. Some of them, they learn a little bit, they go out and they think they know what they're doing. I said, no, you have to. It's like me running a sweat lodge. I had to do that for a whole year. The last month, they gave me the water to put on the rocks. They said, now you know how to do that.
Yeah.
And at the end of that month, when I completed my year, they said, now you have the right to go home and build your own sweat lodge now. And to always remember, never burn anybody. Very important. It's not torture. It's there to heal. Like I said, some of our young men, they pour that water on, get it as hot as they can, they burn people. I said, no, that's not right. You have to be respectful.
And I think conversations like this are so helpful because there just does seem to sometimes be like a gap, right? Or like a relational gap where there's, I think, a lot of misunderstanding.
Yes.
colonial mind doesn't maybe necessarily understand the other way, right? And that's where it's like I can't help that, right? But I want to know more. And so you being so open and sharing without reserve is so helpful, because now I understand. I understand on a deeper level why a land acknowledgement is important. It's not because it's the rules. It's not because somebody said part of truth and reconciliation, our commitment to truth and reconciliation is a land acknowledgement. Now I understand why. Like, and I think that part is missing for a lot of people. And so when you don't have that deeper understanding, it's easy to just stay ignorant or be resentful. Right? On both sides. So I really thank you for doing this. And I'm grateful for Georgia, who was able to find you because you were the perfect person to do this. I didn't feel, there have been times, and I'll be very vulnerable, where I've been speaking with people from your community, nation, and I'm like nervous. Like I don't want to say the wrong thing, or that I'm going to be offensive in some way. And you really just, I feel like a sense of kinship with you, where we can just talk openly and I can be messy and it's okay. I can compare us to bananas. And I do feel like that is helpful for particularly our audience. Our audience is interested in health and well-being. And I was also going to say this. I've interviewed dozens of healthcare professionals, healers, set right in that chair where you're in. And while they have different areas of expertise, in a way, they all kind of say the same thing that you did today.
All right.
Yeah. And that is that it's all connected. I think we're just we're figuring it out. We're trying to catch up, and we're way far behind. But we're starting to get it. Is that you cannot, we're sitting here in a hospital. You cannot have physical health without all the rest of those pieces. And gratitude.
It's always gratitude. Always be thankful. I always tell people, be thankful for what you have, not what you don't have. They're all, poor me, I don't have a nice car. I don't have nice clothes. No, be thankful. Look, I can see, I can feel, I can touch, I can talk. I have a home. Be thankful for, always be thankful for what you have rather than for what you don't have. That's important also.